and I give the floor to the Honourable Gavoka. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As we deliberate on this report, Honourable Speaker, I'd like to focus primarily on the poverty alleviation programs and raise the serious concern of SODELPA that Fiji is falling into a vicious cycle of poverty and debt trap. This is very concerning, Honourable Speaker, and if I could define what is a vicious cycle of poverty, it is a set of events or factors by which poverty, once started, will continue unless there is sustainable intervention and commitment in the implementation. Honourable Speaker, this House needs to focus on sustainable intervention on what we face today, as it is quite obvious and evident across the country that poverty is a huge issue in our country. Over the last 6 years, Honourable Speaker, poverty has increased from 28.1% to 30%. This is prior to COVID-19, Honourable Speaker. And one asks the question, where is the boom in all this? We've been hearing about the boom, but in actual fact, poverty has been increasing. And Honourable Speaker, we all know what the figures are, and they are very worrying, actually very depressing. At least 115,000 people have lost their jobs in the formal sector. This is not including the underemployment in the informal sector. If 115,000 people, Honourable Speaker, have lost their jobs, and it comes down to one family, it comes down to one in each family, you're talking about 575,000 people in this country who are now facing extreme hardship. For a country of less than 1 million people, this is quite worrying, Honourable Speaker. This is a very serious concern to our party, and we need to look at remedial actions on how to arrest all this, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, some key indicators. Revenue is down by 50%. This is despite the reduction in revenue of 50% that has been put in place by the government. Employment, as I said, is down. And the key economic sectors, Honourable Speaker, are also underperforming. With our rivals, we all know why. Electricity is down, mahogany is 98% down, reduction in value-added tax, commercial bank lending is down, cement production is down, job advertisement is down. This is all from the RBF report as late as February, Honourable Speaker. And the debt level, Honourable Speaker, it's now 73.2% of GDP. Domestic debt is 5.1 billion. External debt is 1.7 billion. This is not including the 1 billion from the World Bank and from Japan, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, we need to have immediate measures in place to reduce expenditure. I know that salary cuts have been put in place, but in some areas, Honourable Speaker, the highest paid need to have a 25% reduction in their pay. This is not happening, Honourable Speaker. We are not talking about pay across the board, but it's to be pro rata to reduce those at the highest level. Honourable Speaker, we can reduce the telecom costs, the purchase of goods and services by 20 million, unallocated debt payments by 300 million. There's so many things we can do, Honourable Speaker, and that you can save about $755 million. Honorable Speaker, the financial market also needs to be reinvigorated. If you look at the banks today, there's low appetite for borrowing. We should incentivize more borrowing to create more borrowing and reduce interest rates. Honorable Speaker, the overnight lending rate is 0.25%, yet some banks are still charging interest at 8, 9, 10%. Something is not right. There is no confidence with the banks to lend at a more attractive rate to attract more investments, Honorable Speaker. We all know that the liquidity is high, $884 million. And Honorable Speaker, I just want at this time for this Parliament to salute our people overseas who have remitted about $652 million last year, up to December. This is the highest ever. We need this House to say thank you to our people overseas who are now contributing the second highest source of revenue to Fiji, Honorable Speaker. We should as a people say thank you to them. We should do what we can to thank them in ways. In the Philippines, Honorable Speaker, the size of the remittances is in the billions of billions. I think it was 80 billion last time I checked. And when they come back to the Philippines, they are pampered by the people of the Philippines to thank them for what they are doing to their country. And for us, Honorable Speaker, this House must recognize our people from abroad who are sending this kind of money, Honorable Speaker, to keep us alive. Honorable Speaker, some key solutions to address the vicious cycle of poverty: create jobs, raise minimum wage, increase income, or tax rebate on workers with more than 3 children, support pay equity, establish cash for work program, invest in affordable child care and education, and expand health care, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the debt trap, get rid of the expensive loan portfolio, restructure and consolidate all debts, sell redundant assets, but unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, FijiFirst has sold all the assets in this country. So we don't have much more to go. Minimize taking additional loans. Restructure expenditure based on real revenue. You dream up revenue that you cannot realize, and you tag your expenditure according to that. You need to live in the world of the real world. You're orbiting away from reality, Honorable Speaker. Reduce interest rates. Get the RBF to relook at its policies. Get RBF to relook at the rates and motivate the banks to lend more. Stimulate the economy. Generate tax revenue. Issue debt bond to local entrepreneurs. You can do this, Honorable Speaker. Instead of borrowing from abroad, you can issue bonds locally, Honorable Speaker, to big businesses. You can raise money locally. Honorable Speaker, easy to talk. This is what SODELPA can do. We know what we can do. The problem with FijiFirst is that they are now crippled. They can't even think anymore. The problem with FijiFirst, Honorable Speaker, is that the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. Did we have a bill here late last week that they said, oh, we made a mistake with the bill. Can you pull it out? Did you have that? There was, and there was tells. They said, oh, they are wrong. They are wrong, you know. And so, Honorable Speaker, we We cannot rely on this government anymore, Honorable Speaker, to do it alone. Honorable Speaker, I believe at this point that the economy is in crisis. There's lack of confidence in investments. There's subdued demand. Key sectors of the economy are not performing. We understand tourism is not performing. We understand why. But what about mahogany? What about fisheries? What about pine? What about minerals? Why is it that tourism goes down, everything else goes down? Stop talking in isolation, Honorable Speaker. And there is inconsistency in fiscal policy and monetary policy, Honorable Speaker. There is a need for a proper policy mix. Honorable Speaker, all we are saying is that you've been doing it alone for 1 year now with COVID. We've been asking you to be more inclusive, to be bipartisan, include the opposition. I have spoken here, Honorable Speaker, in December last year about an economic summit. An economic summit. I presented a motion here, a table of motion here. We talked about it. Everyone together to look at the economy that is in crisis. You have proven to the people of Fiji that you can do it. So let's get everyone to sit in and do it. Honorable Speaker, if not, Honorable Speaker, this cycle of poverty and the death trap we're in will stifle everything in this country. We are giving you some ideas on how to do it. We are offering our assistance. We can help you do a better job of it. It is best, Honorable Speaker, that they come down from the high horses. High horses, this is not the time to be grandstanding, and include everyone together in the process of reviving the economy of this country. Honorable Speaker, I know most times that with FijiFirst, it's like having dialogue with the deaf, but I think they're running out of ideas. It is time to say, we are here, we can work together, we can make it better. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.